On this episode of the Star Trek Universe podcast, we have just watched Stardust City Rag, the 5th episode of Star Trek Picard. We're going to talk all about it after this message that we have no control over whatsoever.
Welcome to the Star Trek Universe podcast. My name is Matthew Carroll.
I'm David C. Robertson.
What's up, Dave? How you doing tonight?
I'm great, man.
He's middle of the night, wake up in the middle of the night to watch Star Trek moments. Always look forward to this.
Yeah, man. Our internet was screwing around with us, and it was really frustrating. But
yeah, mine too.
What a great episode, though.
Yes, absolutely.
It was worth the many frustrations to me.
That's saying a lot. I'm so glad we're getting new Star Trek. The paying for CBS All Access has never been an issue for me. The thing that is an issue for me is the fact that CBS All Access is not a tried and true player, and they still are working the kinks out. And I just get weird stuff happening. Like on my Roku, it kept playing half an ad and then interrupting that ad with a loading screen, and then playing half a different ad and then a loading screen, then half an ad, then loading screen, and never proceeding through the ad number or whatever. It just kept saying like 2 of 6, and it played
7 of 9.
Yeah, no, I was gonna say if it had been 7 of 9, it would have been at least some good meta joke. But no, it was like 2 of 6. And it just stayed 2 of 6 for like 20 minutes, and while the ad kept running, so I ended up having to watch it on my phone, which was fine. It was fine.
I don't know if, let me know, you guys, if you've had this problem, but with our ads, whenever we try to watch Picard, there's stupid like holographic robot shows up and I have to punch him in the head for him to go away. It's really annoying. All right, I like it. Let's get right into this. Do we want to start out? No, that's great. I loved that scene. I loved I know it's not what I know. Some people are going to hate all the stuff with ads and free cloud really even being a thing, and like this like weird super Google that apparently read everyone and could tell which of the ads might be work for them. You know what I mean? And I like that Elnor didn't get one because he doesn't have a profile, probably. At least that's how I took that. Yeah. That's kind of how I took it, yeah.
Yeah. That was really fun. And spoiler alert, full spoiler alert for this episode, I think the fact that Aggie gets a violent one was a little bit of a foreshadowing to the end of the episode. Maybe. Yeah. Maybe. Like if those things can like read your if the ads can somehow read your mental state or something, like I could imagine that ad showing her a violent, aggressive ad. Which, by the way, we totally called that.
Yeah, we did.
Was that last night we casted about that?
I don't think so. Actually, you know what it was? I don't think we called it so much as a listener was like, "How are you going to feel when the heel turns?" And we were like, "What?"
Oh yeah, that's right. I guess the listener called it, and we were fully like, we were like, "Oh yeah, it's very likely she'll be bad," but we also thought she'll be bad but redeemable, and I think that's going to be the case. I think she knows the secret. I think she knows whatever the secret is.
Oh, absolutely.
That keeps these Zhat Vash,
yes.
She found out the secret, and now she's on board. Apparently, fully. She's if for all intents and purposes, she is Zhat Vash now. That's
definitely neat. Appears to be, or I don't think she's Zhat Vash necessarily, but whatever it was, they showed her. She is freaking out about it. Like,
yeah.
Yeah, like she was very apologetic as she was killing Bruce, and man, that was a kind of a heartbreaking scene because I mean they made sure to show us like that they were in love. I was right on that. They were in love. She's like crying as she's watching this video of them together.
Yeah,
and it even means more because she knows what she has to do to him once they find him.
man. Yeah. Just Allison Pill killing it, and hey man, we're killing him.
Yep, killing it being Maddox.
But yeah, I don't know. I'm happy with it.
We were talking about it a little off cast. You pointed out there's a Quark's bar on Free Cloud.
Yes, on Free Cloud.
In the background, I have it playing, and I just saw it. That's really fun.
Yeah, did you see what was next to, though?
No.
Mott's Hair Emporium.
I did see that. Who's Mott?
The Bolian Mr. Mott who used to cut Picard's hair. He was like the stylist on the Enterprise.
Oh, that's funny. That's so silly.
And he was played by by Patrick Stewart stand-in. But yeah.
Oh, fun.
I loved that he showed up.
You know what, to me, that gives more credence to. We've talked about in past episodes about how it's very possible that people do know Picard because of like holo novels and stuff. And it would make sense if everyone from the Enterprise is kind of famous because of the holo novels. And so the fact that Mott has a hair emporium on Free Cloud in an area that looks crazy. What does it say there? In Quark's bar, it says, "What is grows you cover," or something like that. I can't read it. Anyway, yeah, I'm sitting here. I'm sorry. We need to talk about the actual episode, and not just all these Easter eggs. I mean, I want to catch as many Easter eggs as possible. But yeah, this is pretty neat. There's a lot going on. I knew there would be some Easter eggs, but I did not catch Quark's bar on the first viewing. That's rad.
Yeah, which that fop or whatever his name was, guy in the bar said, Mr. Quark gave, whatever, Mr. Quark of Ferenginar gave highest recommendations or whatever it was.
Based on your help with the Breen.
Yeah, with his problem with the Breen. So that was cool. I don't know, man. I'm a sucker for those kinds of things.
Yeah, man, me too.
And we didn't even get, it wasn't just that either. We got freaking Icheb dying.
Oh, dude. Poor Icheb. Poor guy who plays Icheb, too. Like, he was on Voyager for like 2 or 3 seasons. And then he gets to come back for Picard for literally like 30 seconds to die horribly.
Well, we don't know. Is he even still an actor?
Oh, I don't know.
Some of these people stop being actors and they move on to other things.
Sure. I'm not saying it's like that horrible. It's just, I just felt bad for the guy. It was neat to see him. Was this the same actor that played Bruce Maddox? I'm bad at faces.
Dude, I'm usually not bad at faces, but me and my wife could not figure it out.
Okay.
Because sometimes he looked like him, and then other times he didn't. Oh, it looks like that guy is still going, man. Looks like the guy that plays Icheb. Yeah, he was even in. It looks like something called Star Trek Renegades, which was I think something that Walter Koenig was involved in.
Neat.
It's like a fan show.
Oh, okay. Neat. All right. Well, I feel like the main thrust of this episode is mostly this is a 7 episode, right?
It certainly felt that way.
Yeah, you were talking last episode that you thought they were working on a spin-off show with the holograms, a Rios and the Holograms type show. But I think that this was even more clearly working on a spin-off show for the Fenris Rangers.
Oh my God, I'd be so down for that, man.
Yeah, me too. I'd
be so down.
I think especially this, it seems like she's now left the ship, like, and probably won't be back. It seems
she's listed for 6 episodes.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Oh, wow. Okay, never mind. I was thinking this was it. Like she left and had her blaze of glory going out in battle. They had that shot in the trailer. So when she got off, when she transported away with the phasers, I was like, well, okay, I guess we'll get that fight sequence in another episode. But nope, it was just the end of this one. And I was like, oh, they wrapped all that up. I guess 7's done. But no, 6 episodes, you say? That's crazy.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, I hope so. That that leaves open for our theory about the Doctor, which I really want to happen. Oh man, so excited. By the way, giving credence to our hologram theory / the Doctor theory / synthetic life, also including the holograms. Did you notice in the recap for this week, the recap of last episode or the previous episode, previously on Picard, that kind of thing? They had the moment that they just recontextualized the moment when Rios says he's just an EMH.
Yep.
And then it cuts to the hologram. He goes, just. And it was totally, the way they edited it was a completely different tone, and it had the music behind it was different. It just made it seem, in the moment, it seemed kind of like petty. Like, why would you call me just a hologram? But in the re-edit, it was like, ooh, that was really contextually different. And it seems like that hologram is really upset.
I agree.
I think the holograms are gonna revolt, man. And if they don't bring the Doctor in, it's a big mistake.
Yeah, dude. That's what I was thinking too. I was like, oh shit, they're doing it.
Yeah.
By the way, did you notice that this episode was directed by Jonathan Frakes as well?
Oh no.
Yeah, man.
Goodness, and this was a much more action-packed episode.
Yeah, it was. Dude, it was so good. Like, I want to go back and look at it again. I really do.
Oh yeah, me too.
Oh, actually, that was not Brian Brophy returning as Bruce Maddox.
Okay, I didn't think so. I'm looking at his IMDb and I didn't see it.
Yeah, it was someone named John Ailes or Ailes.
Interesting. He does look a good bit like him. They did a good job recasting.
Yeah.
But
that's fine.
I can't believe they got Icheb back. You know, like just seeing him laying on the table, seeing that nose shape and everything. I was like, oh man. Mm-hmm. Cannot believe this. I just got done watching a bunch of Icheb episodes.
But it wasn't the actor who played Icheb.
Oh, it wasn't?
Nope.
Okay. He looked a lot like him.
He did, but it wasn't him.
I guess that was deliberate.
I guess so. I don't know if they couldn't get him or what, but it... Yeah.
Because this is Star Trek, and it's always been about looking beyond the physical to see the person. Mm-hmm. When they talked about this reptile character and they said, nasty bastards. Mm-hmm. I was like, surely that's not going to be true. And it just was. And I was like, oh, okay. I guess they're not worried about that. I guess they're just okay with that sort of stereotyping of this guy. And it just being, he just be fitting into the stereotype they decide to throw on him.
Yeah.
I guess, you know, it's fine. I guess sometimes people live up to the stereotypes, but I was kind of disappointed when like they were just like, it just reminded me of, you know, whatever, Star Trek 6 or whatever, or old original series episodes where people are like, you know, hating on Spock or hating on the Klingons or whatever. And then you have to learn to get past that. But in this, it just like, no, he was just a big evil mobster reptile. Mm-hmm. He was a whatever bastard. All right. 7 was great in this. Really great. I want a Fenris Ranger show now. I know we've apparently got a lot more with her in this season, but I want Fenris Rangers. I
do.
Especially
go Fenris Rangers. do.
All right. Well, I guess I know what I'm writing this week for a song.
Oh,
that's actually pretty funny.
Alpha, Rita's returned. Gather several former Borg with attitude. Aye.
Delta 7 of 9.
Oh, God.
All right. Well, I just enjoyed everybody in this episode. Picard trying to act like a sinister mob boss dude was really great. Or whatever he was supposed to be.
Amazing. He was just like... I don't know, like a French pirate or something.
Yeah. French pirate Picard. And I loved everyone. I loved Raffi just giving him no credit for trying to do that. And then him flipping up his eye patch, disappointed that not everyone recognized his brilliance.
Yeah, I loved it.
Yeah, man, me too.
I hated her, like, the way her son was, but I guess she really did a number on him in some way.
Yeah, also, the snake weed or whatever that she was smoking, the snake grass she was smoking a few episodes ago, that was the drug he's talking about her being on, or is this like, it's hard because we just saw her smoking something called snake grass that I think we were supposed to think was some sort of drug, but then she tells him she's clean in this episode. Now, I'm curious about how all that, like, is she lying about being clean? Does she think she's clean because she's been clean for 2 weeks? Or is it like, one of those situations where she was on much harder drugs or something? And also, it seemed like the cleanness of her wasn't really about the drugs. It was more about her obsession with the Conclave of 8, whatever that is.
Yeah, I think, it's just weird. There is like a snake leaf plant, and I don't know a whole lot about it.
Yeah, there is that. There's also one in Star Trek somewhere. I watched some Easter egg video, and apparently snake leaf or snake grass was mentioned in some other Star Trek episode. Some other seedy planet was they mentioned snake grass at some point.
I mean, she's clearly a drunk. She's smoking something,
right? That's the thing. She says, "I'm clean now," and it was like the first episode. She's like, or second episode, I guess. She's like real drunk, smoking something. So I guess she's not clean. Is that going to be her arc? Is she going to be trying to get clean through this entire show? I think she's going to find purpose on the ship for sure.
Yeah, and then he kind of points out like this conspiracy shit was stupid, and she's like, "It's not." And he's like, "Yeah, that was. See, you being clean wasn't really the problem. This was the problem."
Yeah.
Yeah, that was all rough though. That made me sad.
Yeah, me too.
Because I want to like shake him and be like, dude, she's right.
Yeah, but we still don't know what she's right about. I mean, even Picard doesn't really agree with her necessarily,
which sucks. Yeah,
yeah. So, but I do think she's right about the synth attack. I think there's, as she said, like lies upon lies.
Dude, I'm gonna go ahead and say I think Lore is involved. I really do. I think Lore's consciousness created these girls as the Destroyer. I think she's the face of the Destroyer.
I think that's not a bad idea. I really don't. I think Lore could absolutely be the source of all this. We still, I guess we don't have any more information from Maddox though. We just have the really basic information, and that's the thing. So that's what's so if it turns out to be Lore, then we got exactly the information from Maddox we needed to confirm everything, but no more. He never revealed where he got the neurons, and before he could, he was killed. He just said, "Dr. Soong and we created something beautiful," or whatever. And so I think that's probably an intentional misdirect, and it's very possible that these are daughters of Lore. I think we're heading toward like these are daughters of Lore. They get activated. They are trying to destroy. There's a whole nest of these puppies somewhere, and they're going to destroy whatever, all life, according to the last episode. And if that's the case, then I think that's still going to be an issue where like Picard shows love to Soji, faith in Soji, even though she is Lore's daughter. You know what I mean? Like,
yeah,
like maybe Soji's like, I'm not even related to this Data that you love. That's not even me. And then he's like, no, but I still believe in you. I still believe you can choose. You can make a choice. You know.
And then at the end of the season, she starts singing "Blue Skies," and Picard smiles subtly. And out to Jerry Goldsmith.
Yeah.
Right back where we left off at the end of Nemesis. Data might be in there after all. Mm-hmm. Blue skies. I'm sorry.
No, it's not a bad call. All right. Yeah, if it is lore, which maybe. But who knows? Maybe it's lore, but maybe once the destroyer decides not to destroy, like if Soji is convinced to be on the side of the angels, as Rios' hologram said, then Agnes will decide to follow in Maddox's footsteps and get before out and create new data babies.
Data babies.
Data babies. What am I singing? What is that tune?
Is it Muppet Babies?
Is it Muppet Babies? I thought it was Muppet Babies. That's what I was trying to sing. And then I couldn't. I was like, is that a tune from Muppet Babies? Or am I just putting Muppet Babies over some other tune?
I don't remember Muppet Babies that well. I remember the show, sort of.
Yeah, no, you know what?
The music.
I think I might be singing. Something from Grease.
Oh.
We go together like salmon. Yeah, anyway. All right. I would say we can't afford that, but we're too small of a podcast for anyone to care.
Yeah.
Should just
perks of obscurity.
Matthew Carroll and David C. Robertson star in Perks of Obscurity.
No one is mad at us when we say not PC things because no one heard the show. That is Perk of Obscurity.
That's right.
Number 375.
I feel like that's a lot of the perks. It's just like we can say shit that no one is going to know. All right. That's perks 1 through 375.
It's so lonely here. Con number 2.
All right. We're building up our own little rules of perks of obscurity here.
Yep. It's our version of the rules of acquisition.
Exactly, yeah. Quark was name checked and the bar was shown. Man, I sure hope Quark gets to come back. They're going to reference him twice in one episode.
I was like, y'all couldn't get Armin Shimmerman back to make a little like CGI Quark to like bother people with?
Oh, that would have been so good.
The little ad.
I would have loved that.
Cool.
I would have loved that.
And they were next to a Dabo. There was like a Dabo
wheel.
Yeah, there's like a Dabo wheel and some place where you could play Dabo.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
Yeah, man. This is a really great episode. I just liked Free Cloud. I know they're going far afield of the vision of Starfleet that we've kind of gotten all along. Especially at its height in TNG. It felt like everything had become very homogenized, and in this world, we're kind of getting the downfall of that.
But no, there were plenty. I feel like there was plenty of places like this in TNG. Remember the bar that they went to that Riker visited in Unification?
Yes, I do. I was thinking of that when we were watching this. It's like, I guess there is precedent in TNG. But you got to admit, it seemed a lot more homogenized in TNG. Maybe that's just because they're on a Galaxy-class starship and they're visiting particular worlds and we're seeing all these political delegations and stuff.
Plus, we saw a place like this every episode of DS9 in Quark's bar.
Yeah. Oh, for sure. But that's the thing is that's out on the outer edges of space or whatever. Yeah, it's Deep Space Nine.
So was this though in a lot of ways. I mean, this is obviously a very abandoned sector of space,
right? Well, now
for
it
the Federation. Yeah,
now it is. It seems like a lot of this area. I don't know exactly where they are. It seems like they're heading toward Romulan space. Mm-hmm. And Free Cloud and Shanti are both on the way.
Yeah.
And all of that is it seems like all of that was abandoned by Starfleet.
This is what I've always wanted to see more of in Star Trek, is just like the seedy underbelly. You know, we get little, we get little snippets of it from like Harry Mudd in the original series and Cyrano Jones. We get like pieces of it in Star Trek 3 when, I can't remember Krug's woman's name, but she dealt with those like pirates, to
Oh yeah.
to get the Genesis specs.
Cassidy Yates was a smuggler.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
She went to jail and Cisco still married her.
I loved that. I really loved that whole storyline. I need to rewatch DS9. Now that we're caught up on all our Picard rewatch, I should really dig into DS9 again, just for fun.
I don't know, man. They're making me want to watch Voyager.
Wow.
With all this 7 of 9. I know, but
I just did. I watched like a bunch of important Voyager episodes leading up to Picard, but we didn't cast about them because we didn't have the time. Mm-hmm. But I just buzzed through a bunch of them just to get the story. And honestly, they're not very good, but like the story is good,
Yeah. Dude. So was it just me, or am I crazy, or did it seem like they were hinting that 7 of 9 had some sort of like romantic relationship with this crazy ass lady?
I did not get that.
She sort of just said her name, Annika, sensually, but sort of spitefully and sensually at the same time.
I mean, I just thought she said it like with a sort of familiarity. Yes, but I think that was just supposed to be like, yes, we knew each other very well at some point. I think she just pretended to be her friend so she could get close to her and close to Icheb, and then she betrayed them.
Okay. I was just curious.
I mean, I wouldn't say it couldn't be true. Absolutely could be true that they had more than a friendship relationship, but I didn't take that away. At least I didn't even think about it. So I think it could work either way, though. If you want to have that in your head, you go for it, man.
I mean, it's not that I wanted to, or
whatever's your bag, man. Whatever you want to think about, it's fine. No judgment here.
Why do you always have to make things weird?
It's what I do, man. It's what I do.
Yeah. All right.
Let's see. Have we missed out on any characters we want to talk about? I feel like this episode's so rich with so much stuff. Rios was really fun. They keep going areas with characters I don't expect them to, especially so soon. Like Rios is the tragic existential crisis guy. And so giving him the moment to wear the pimp suit and to go in and like act gregarious and flamboyant, like that seems like more of a season 3 thing to do. You know what I mean? Because it's kind of spilling that milk early, as it were. You know what I mean? Like,
yeah.
But I mean, I liked it. I did not mind it at all. They just keep doing things like that where I don't expect. Like, it's just like I talked about with Raffi in episode 2. Like, I expected her to be a little more stoic because she's such a badass. It's seeming.
Yeah.
And then she, in the first episode, is breaking down crying, and I was like, oh, well, they're kind of like, they're doing this sooner than I expected, and I don't know if it's neat because it's novel and different, or if they're wasting some dramatic tension they could be holding on to. Because, if Raffi had been completely stoic in those first 4 episodes and been just badass Raffi, you don't screw with Raffi. She's got her own purposes on Free Cloud, and she's a badass. And then she'd broken down when her son, rejected her. Yeah, that might have been a lot more impactful than have Raffi cry the first time you see her, and then she just seems like an emotionally unstable person in a way, or like, not that she doesn't have reason to be, not that she's not actually hurt, but you know what I'm saying. Like there's a certain amount of dramatic tension from a character that holds their emotions back. Same thing with Rios, where you can have a character who always acts a certain way all the time. I mean, in a way, Jack, I always want to bring up Firefly, but you got Firefly where Malcolm Reynolds for the first like 5 episodes is pretty like, I'm a cowboy, manly all the time. And then in like episode 6, he shows up in a dress and he like talks about his dress very compliment. He's like, I don't know. You know the scene I'm talking about. He just really enjoys wearing a dress, and it's very funny because he's like been so macho up until then, kind of.
Oh yeah, okay, yeah, I remember what you're talking about.
Yeah. Swear by my pretty floral bonnet, I will end you is the line that I can't ever forget because I love it so much.
I would argue that we might get that with Rios anyway, because that's the kind of character he is, and I don't need Raffi to be that kind of character. Like I have felt plenty of impact from her. Like clearly her life is a mess, and I think we needed it back then and we need it now. Like I need to see her break down, and I do. I do care about the character at this point. Like I want to understand better why she feels such a closeness with Picard, that she like a loyalty to Picard even though he kind of abandoned her. But I want to know, more about who she is and why she chose what she did over her family. I don't know. I don't need her to be like some. I don't need that kind of character. We can get another character like that somewhere.
Yeah,
else.
for sure. I'm not saying that.
She's not Zoe, Matt. She's not
Zoe at all. But what I don't expect her to be Zoe. It's the badass thing. It's the fact that she walks out to Picard the first time we see her and she's got a gun on Picard. It makes you feel like, oh, this is Raffi. She's going to be a badass. And I mean, that's my own hang up. The fact that like badass has to be the opposite from emotional. You know what I mean?
Yeah, you could be a badass and then break down in the next few seconds. Yeah, absolutely.
I know. It's just, I'm just posing the question, and it's something that I thought of in the second or third episode. They like kind of answered some questions without any kind of fanfare, if you recall. Like they answered the question of who Narek was working for. They answered the question of the androids, the fact that they had been programmed in some way with that flash in the eyes, and it was just like a lot of things that like were kind of answered where they could have held on to those and maybe been more impactful at some moment, and they kind of answered them with no impact, I felt like. And so it's just posing the question. I'm loving everything they're doing, but it makes me keep thinking that they could have done some things a little differently.
I will say this, and this might just be my own stupid brain not working like it should, but at this juncture, like I really like the way they have just sort of done exactly what you're saying, where they have taken people and they said, oh, they're working with them. Oh, they're working with them with no fanfare, because I watch shows, and streaming shows are even worse about it, where they will be like, introduce a character and we see them for like 1 or 2 scenes, and my brain still hasn't like registered who that person even is. And then it'll be like, duh, 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 they're working with this person. I'm like, who is that?
I agree with you. I think we're making kind of the same point, actually.
Okay. Another instance of me not understanding things because I'm dumb.
No. I just think that like that's I think what you're saying is kind of what they did. Well, except they didn't put drama behind it, which I'm glad they didn't try to dramatize it like it was a big mystery without any tension. Right. But I fear they're kind of wasting some of the mysteries of not only the storyline, but also the characters. Anyway, it's neither here nor there. It's a very small issue because so far I have not found myself bereft of feeling dramatic about the show. You know, I felt very good about it so far.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't feel like they're wasting anything. I I feel like this has all been set up, and some of that was like by necessity, like revealed things like, oh, this person's doing that. Oh, okay. But I didn't need to, like, if they had really built it up, I'd have been like, is that someone from TNG? Because I have a terrible memory. So that's all I'm saying is I'm glad they've done it without drama, I guess, is what I'm saying.
Yeah, I hear you.
If that's, what you're getting at, because I'm not smart.
Well, I'm glad they do it I'm glad they've done it without drama if they don't mean to have drama around it. You know what I mean? But I guess I just keep seeing things that they could use to sort of build extra emotional moments into the story. And they're not. And I don't know how I feel about that. I mean, and Star Trek is not always about emotion. Sometimes it's about coldly, like, thinking about a problem, and I love that.
But I don't know that I completely agree with that either. Like, I don't think there is bereft of emotion.
Oh, I don't either. I didn't say that.
Or I don't think they're doing it at the expense of emotion. I think there are some subtleties. But, like, I feel like Romulan guy who is with Soji actually, at the very least, if he doesn't actually care for her in some capacity, I feel like he is just incredibly, perhaps even dangerously infatuated with her on some level.
I agree with that.
Like, I think he does care about her, but he's also somewhat afraid of her.
For sure.
And I would assume he would have good reason to be.
Well, I think his sister has his number. I think he's been obsessing over...
I know they said they were brother and sister.
I know. She's acting very sexual toward him.
Yeah, like, do Romulans get down that way? Are they, like, into the Game of Thrones?
Yeah, no, I think this is just a Game of Thrones thing.
She's like, do you know how many Romulans were killed with the Hobus Star? They don't have a lot of options.
Good point. So yeah, it's a thing. I don't know. I just think that is a strange flourish for their characters, and it is interesting that's like a classic. It's actually like a classical thing they do is to make the enemies have weird sexual proclivities toward their relatives. Like the bad guys to do that in fiction throughout time, and it is a weird trope, but they're embracing it here.
Is it a weird trope though? I mean, I guess the logic stands up because I mean, if you are like just waking up going, "Well, time to do evil," why wouldn't you? You know,
right? Yeah, it just.
I mean, what I'm gonna cut myself off now at my sibling?
Yeah, if
I murdered 3 men yesterday.
If you're just a hedonist seeking pleasure, you seek it wherever you find it. Yeah, it makes sense.
If you're a mustache twirler, sure.
One of my favorite. Do you remember the incest episode of Community?
I don't think so. I don't think I do.
It's in the episode, there are two characters that are getting married, and then then they realize at the wedding that one of their grandmothers is the same.
Oh.
And then, and the people who make them realize it, of course, is the study group. The main characters make them realize it. They're trying to do good, and then the whole crowd turns on them because they ruined these people's lives basically by revealing this. But that's then fantastic. They basically end up convincing them to get married anyway. And that's how the episode ends. But the real end of the episode is a little. It's one of the best things they ever did. It's a little stinger at the end of the episode where they come on, and one of the writers who wrote the episode gives like the actual statistics about how second cousins is not actually a problem. and then he says that like Dan Harmon made him agree that if he was going to write this episode, he had to get up and stand behind it and just say the actual facts. And it was really funny. I can't. I'll have to find it and we'll watch it. It's funny. It's really funny.
Yeah. It's funny because I recently at work, I have assumed that these two people were really into each other because every time they were around each other, they were like kind of flirtatious, or they seemed very flirtatious, very, very comfortable with each other. They don't act like that with anybody else. And I kind of mentioned it. I was like, so are you guys like dating or whatever? And the guy was like, oh my God, ew. I was like, what? And he's like, that's my cousin. And then like he goes and tells her, and now they're both acting like I'm just some pervert. And I keep saying like, I didn't know. I just looked at your behavior and thought, like, I think the question you should be asking is not what's wrong with me. Is why do you act this way with your cousin that I thought you guys were dating?
It's funny.
Yeah.
Why are you calling me a pervert? All right. So what, anything else about this episode? We've been far afield for a few minutes now.
What do you think about Seven, like, offing that lady? That was pretty dark.
It was
Seven's
dark.
gotten dark, dude. She's like without hope now. They said.
Exactly. Yeah. I think that's the main thrust of this episode is that Seven was turned into a Borg at such a young age and was like, you know, had her humanity stripped away. And then her experience on Voyager, and particularly her experience with Icheb, like allowed her to get some of her humanity back. And as the conversation, I mean, the huge thing in the room, the elephant in the room we haven't even discussed is her conversation with Picard when she asks Picard, do you feel like you got your humanity back? And he says, yes. And like, just very firmly, yes. And she says, all of it? And he says, no.
Right.
And then she says, me neither, but I fight for it every day.
Mm-hmm.
I have
a question.
That's such a good moment. Ugh.
I have a question for you, and we might get the look. We know that they have said they are planning a show, like shows that they have not announced yet.
Fenris Rangers is definitely one of them.
Dude, I sincerely hope that, and I don't think we'll get it in Picard, but I sincerely like hope that we get Chakotay. Because we know he was with Seven at the end of Voyager.
Yeah, we do. Well, do we? I mean, did they end up together in the real reality?
Oh, I thought they did, yeah.
Because like I know they end up together long term in the offshoot reality that doesn't exist, and I know they dated like we got like they were together for like a week. So if they're not together, I wouldn't be too upset. Yeah. I mean, it'd be cool to see Chakotay again.
Yeah,
but
from a character's perspective, I wouldn't be like terribly upset. But dude, I really want Bob Beltran to have a good experience on Star Trek, man. I want him to come back and have a good experience.
Oh yeah.
He's complained so much about Voyager.
I don't know. I didn't know that. So.
Yeah, he's complained so much about how his character didn't really get any development, and they never did anything with Chakotay, and they should have done something with Janeway and Chakotay, but they like let that fall flat, and then like the last minute thing with Seven. Yeah, man, I think he deserves something.
Yeah, I mean, I'd love to see him again. I don't really care if he's with Seven, but I
don't need him to be with her.
Gotcha. Yeah, I'd love to see him again, sure. But I'm more interested in seeing the Doctor.
I think we'll get the Doctor before the end of the season.
I hope so. If our theory is correct, then I think it's very possible, and I
see nothing but arrows in that direction at this point.
Yeah. You want to talk theories a little bit?
We can.
Anything non-theoretical you want to talk about before we get into theories, in case we lose some people to the not wanting to talk about theories? Not that we know anything. I guess one of the theories I want to talk about is circulating online. It's not really my theory, so that's why I want to.
I can We can do a little feedback that's not theory based.
Yeah, let's do it. Throw some feedback.
Let's see. I was I'm trying to look for it. Sean Ray of the Cosmic Potato Network. He listens to our show, and he's a good guy. He's got his own Landing Party Star Trek podcast. But awesome. he was pointing out, gosh, I'm just having a real hard time finding it, and I can't remember exactly. But he was pointing out that like we had just like totally missed that there were like just way more holograms than we thought there were.
Oh, right. Interesting. Go ahead. What's his feedback? Go for it.
Well, I can't find it exactly. He does suggest that we read, I'll go with this first, Star Trek Picard, The Last Best Hope, by Una McCormick. It's a novel, and he says that he says it's good, not a lot of action, but it fills a few gaps, like what Jurati and Maddox's relationship was, who had the idea for the synths, what happened in that meeting where Picard put in his resignation, and some more backstory on Raffi. And then he says it also clarifies the insinuation that LaForge was killed on Mars in that comic book cliffhanger.
Wow. That's so crazy that they have like a comic book cliffhanger that is answered in another prequel novel.
Right.
All right. I just bought it on Audible. I'll listen to it this week.
Oh man.
I'm consuming all the Star Trek I can. All this tied-in stuff that's actually going on with Picard. I'm just loving Picard so much.
Let me know how that works out.
I will. Yeah, I think that there's I think we figured out. So I think I saw that feedback that you're talking about. And yeah, he was saying that the two holograms we see in the first episode, the EMH and the one in his quarters, are two different holograms. It was the main thing that we missed.
Yeah.
So there's an EMH, an EHH, an ETH, and then whatever the Irish guy is. So as far as I know, that's only 4. So we only were missing the one.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
But yeah, there's a lot of holograms on his ship, and I just love that. It was subtle in the first episode. Well, honestly, in the first episode, I wasn't even sure. We weren't even sure it was the same guy. And then in the second episode we got with it, it became clear it was the same guy. And this episode, Jurati even called it out. It was you. I mean, not you.
Mm-hmm.
So anyway, I think it's pretty great. Any other feedback before
we did get some feedback here from Rob Fratis, and there's gonna be an apology attached to this thing. He says, "Hey guys, my name is Rob. I'm a new listener, and I wanted to say keep up the good work. I like to hear your podcast because it's more opinion and speculation based versus others that just do it blow by blow. Sorry to hear of the loss of your sister. Be with the ones you love and do the things that you love, like watch Star Trek and talk about it on your podcast. I'm attaching a note file with my thoughts on how this could go, and it would be cool if you let me know what you guys think. I am sending this to you before episode 5 is released," and he sent it yesterday.
So I guess this is theories. I guess we're entering the theory area now, since we're reading Rob's theory here.
Yeah.
Time to theorize.
All right, here's Rob Fratis' theory on Picard. And because of technical difficulties, it's the first time we're reading it, so reacting in real time. Spitball fan man theory here. Let us start with the man himself. Number 1, Picard places his request for resignation due to loss in faith in the Federation. He still has a feeling of need to save the Romulans. Picard flips through his Rolodex and makes the call to Hugh and his dislocated collective, who have now acquired a Borg cube. They arrange the Romulan evacuation. This is validated due to Hugh being in an administrative position on the now cube called the Artifact.
Okay.
Do you want to tackle these one by one, or do you want to go through the whole thing?
Well, I guess we can tackle them one by one. He has 8 different theories, I guess. So this first theory, I think I thought this a couple episodes ago too, that he had done something, but I think it was last week when we talked to, after episode 4, he talks to that nun and he says, I let the perfect be the enemy of the good. And he gave up. I think after the attack on Mars, he gave up. So I think that is unlikely at this point. I don't think the cube had anything to do with, I don't think that Picard had anything to do with the evacuation. I don't think he ever made it back out the Romulan space after they fired him.
Yeah, I agree with that. All right, number 2. Bruce Maddox has been alienated by the Federation because of the mandate to ban synthetic beings and all research related to the subject. He was already a questionable person with little to no disregard for Data's individuality, but still is haunted by the intrigue of how Data works. Maddox seeks out the next best thing to Data in his brother Lore. Maddox reassembles Thor, Lore, and steals him from the Federation. This is a lot like my theory with him using Lore, but I don't think he stole him necessarily. I just think he uses his neurons, I guess.
Yeah, I think this is close to what we were talking about. Yeah, I think that somehow Lore is going to be used. And it's very possible that whatever consciousness is kicking around inside of Soji at this point, and possibly others in the nest, as Narek called it, it's very possible their end game is not only destruction, but also to bring Lore about. We know, like, the Lore, I think, is probably one of the only characters. Well, that's probably not true. Lore's specific character, last thing we know of his character was he wanted to destroy all non-synthetic life. Yeah. You remember that? That was the last thing he said in Descent. He wanted to, he thought that it was time to evolve to all synthetic life. So, like, I think that fits his purposes perfectly.
Yeah. Now, as for Bruce, especially after this episode, I think by the end of Measure of a Man, he saw Data's value and recognized him as a true life form.
I agree. He was definitely as he said, a questionable individual when he first showed up, but he grew to believe in Data. But also, especially as Rob hadn't seen this at this point, but clearly this episode when he says they're so perfect, they're perfect in their imperfection. Talking about Soji and Daj, that they are. He's a true believer that synthetic life is real now.
Yeah, absolutely.
Synthetic life is life.
All right, number 3. Lore has a history of being able to control dislocated Borg and making them follow his cause. In the TNG episode Descent, Lore is referred to as the One, or the one who will destroy, or the destroyer of biological organisms. Lore is well known to be the evil twin of Data and Lore. Yeah, that's a good point, man.
Did they ever say the one that will destroy? Is that, or is he just presuming that?
He's saying that's what I don't remember it.
I don't remember this. They do call him the One throughout that episode, and they might have said the one who will destroy in this, but and he does definitely in that episode talk about destroying biological life in lieu of synthetic. So yeah, I think it's all solid.
Yeah, I mean, I would go back and watch Descent, but we just watched it, and I don't want to. Number 4, when Maddox and Lore unite, they create Daj and Soji. One of them is good and one is evil, and the evil one would or could be referred to as the Destroyer because they are the spawn of Lore and perceived as the ultra-evil twin trained by the one who will destroy in Lore. I don't know, man. I mean, it's possible Daj was the evil one. Yeah. If there is an evil and a good one, but...
It's possible Daj was the good one, and that Soji's the evil one. It's like I think it is very possible we're heading towards a strong mistrust of Soji by us in the future.
Right.
Like, I think that it's very like, I'm not sure that she will end up on the side of evil, but like, I think it's very possible she will do, like, when she's activated, her activated self will. We will realize that her purposes are not good. And that Narek and his sister are actually sort of allies in this whole fight in the end.
Yeah, I feel like there's Soji, and then there's the underlying consciousness.
Yeah. Oh, we didn't mention it earlier. We got confirmation that the mother is an AI, which I presumed from the very first time Dodge talked to her mother.
Yeah, we did. No, but yeah, I think Soji is different. I don't think there's a heel turn here. I think this Soji is actually a life and has a benevolence about her, and then underneath there's going to be a lore situation happening.
She's like a real Ash Tyler there,
right? I think she's a real person.
I agree. I think that the overlaying personality of Soji is going to be considered a life and going to be considered something valuable by Picard, even if that'd be interesting if they used B4, or maybe they here you go. Here's what they did. They used the consciousness that had been downloaded into B4's positronic brain, but his neurons weren't as advanced as they needed to be. So they transferred all of that information into Lore's consciousness. And then they used Lore's neurons with Data's consciousness in them to try to create.
There you go.
Try to create Data's daughters, but the underlying activated consciousness that's under there is like a weird Lore plant that he put in there with its own purposes. So they are Data's daughters. Soji and Dodge, the personalities we've met, are Data's daughters, but the underlying personality is Lore.
It's Lore.
Yeah.
Dude, that's so good. That's so good. Like, I hope somebody sat down and thought, like, what did they ever do with Lore? Oh, shit. There you go.
Surely they did. This show, they're thinking about so many things. Maddox was on this episode. We got to return. I said it when we covered Measure of a Man, whatever it was, 15 years ago, that 6 months ago or whatever. I said that, man, if they don't bring Maddox back, I'll be upset. And you were like, well, don't be upset, Matt. Just don't be that kind of fan. And I was like, all right, fine. But they did it, man. They freaking did it.
They did it.
I said back in that episode, I would just be happy if like his name was on an institute of cybernetic life somewhere.
Right.
And not only did we get an institute, but we got actually him who ran the institute, and this whole plan revolved around Maddox. It's so exciting, man.
Yeah, it is. Now look, he's got another theory here.
Yeah, we got a bunch here.
And I feel like it's getting into the weeds. But I like it.
Oh, actually, this I think this next theory is the theory I'm talking about that's been kicked around the internet some.
Oh,
we're talking about number 5, right?
Yeah, I stay off the internet for this. I don't even want to think about it. I
can't remember where I first heard this theory. It was some podcast or something. Somebody mentioned this theory, but thinking about it, this theory makes a lot of sense.
Yeah. He says, number 5, in the past, the Romulans created Borg technology to be used as a weapon. Something went wrong and the Borg got out of control. This is the reason why the Romulan computers are only able to perform math and why they are fearful of sentient androids. Romulans were attacked by their own creation, the Borg. The Romulans built in a failsafe into the technology which causes assimilations to fail, mostly if they attempt to assimilate a Romulan. Those Romulans that do survive the assimilation become mentally handicapped. This is why there are so few Romulans ever to be assimilated, and those that do are mentally damaged. The Romulans were not able to defeat the Borg, but were able to send them through a wormhole to the Delta Quadrant. That's a pretty damn good theory, really.
That's a good theory. I like it. I like the theory the Romulans created the Borg. I don't. So the mentally damaged part. Here's where I'm thinking with the mentally damaged part. In the second episode, they talked about the secret that if you learn it, you go crazy. You'll go insane. Well, it seems like all those people, all those Romulans, learned a secret and went insane. And so I think it's very possible the secret that the I can never remember how to say their name. The Zhat Vash I think it's very possible the secret that the Zhat Vash are keeping is that the Romulans created the Borg. And I think that they're the, what are they called? The damaged or whatever it is. Not damaged. They're called the afflicted. No, I can't remember. Whatever the ward of people is called. The mentally damaged ones. all of the Romulans ever known to be assimilated are mentally damaged. I think it's
the deplorables.
I think it's going to be because they learned the secret, and that secret. The reason they learned that secret is because when they were assimilated, they learned all the knowledge of the Borg, and they learned that their people were responsible for creating them.
It would be crazy to actually have a canon creation point for the Borg.
Yeah, we've had a few non-canon ones over the years.
I'll be honest. I really like the idea that Voyager and Deckard forming or joining at the end of motion picture was the I really like that being the beginning of the Borg.
It's a really fun thing. It's a really fun little connection to draw between all the things, but it's also not necessarily. I don't know. There definitely could be better. I'm enjoying this. If this is a Borg creation tale, I'm into it.
Yeah, I'm interested.
Man, can you imagine the anger that? So like, almost all Star Trek has been looking at people that are different than you and learning to love them, learning to think of them as beings, and learning to like care about their well-being, right? And not see them as other. Can you imagine 7 of 9? And Picard, 2 people who were very damaged by the Borg, learning that the Romulans are responsible, and like the anger that they would feel toward Romulans, which like that's not very Picard, but like he probably would feel that way. Like he'd probably have at least a knee jerk, especially 7, who we saw this episode, what she does to people who wrong her. I think that if the Romulans created the Borg, then this could get interesting from a character perspective for those 2 characters.
By the way, I love the idea that she started calling herself Annika again, and then changed it back to 7 when she lost her humanity.
Yeah,
and she lost her hope.
I
just love that.
Me too.
Anyway, number 6. The Romulans created a secret cabal called the Zhat Vash. This is a secret Romulan police force tasked to locate and eliminate sentient artificial androids. They were created because of the horrible circumstances that arose from the Borg. Any remaining Borg or sentient androids are the target. The Zhat Vash coordinate the attack on Utopia Planitia because of the android workforce developed by the Federation. I don't understand this totally because the android workforce was created to produce transport vessels with the purpose of evacuating Romulans from the planet before the supernova. Why hurt the chances to save your own kind? But yeah, that's gonna be the chink in the armor, man. That's gonna be the problem.
That is, if the Zhat Vash were responsible for the destruction of Utopia Planitia, I mean, they've even said it on the show. Like Picard has said, like it doesn't make any sense that they would kill their own people. What if the Zhat Vash, we've already seen that a Vulcan is involved, and people within the Federation, and now Agnes is at least under their control, but seems willingly. What if the Zhat Vash is not just a Romulan thing? What if it was like, what was it? The Complex of 8? I just said it like an hour ago. Conclave of 8.
Conclave of 8, yeah.
What if the Conclave of 8 is the conclave of like 8 societies or something? 8 races. It's like an early version of what the Federation later was, that like bounded together to resist in secret resist android life. I don't know, man. I'm just throwing out theories at this point. I really don't know. Let's get back to Rob's more thoughtful theories.
I was trying to figure out how many races did the preservers feed or seed. I mean, not feed.
Yeah,
seed.
I don't know. That was in the first episode. We were talking about the preservers as a possibility. Yeah, man. What if this all ties together? What if it's all just like there's so many good theories here. I really like the theory of like all life is synthetic, like the preservers created all life and all life is synthetic. Right. I like the theory of the Romulan created the Borg. I also enjoy the theory that like the Romulans got a glimpse of the future and they've been fighting a future a la Terminator. Like literally this is just Terminator, you know, like somebody came back from the future with a message, or they somehow got a glimpse of what the future would look like. And they know that all of this will happen. And so a bunch of parts of their culture are based on this myth of what will happen in the future. And that's why we can't ignore all that stuff that Ramda said about how it's not mythology, it's the news, you know?
Yeah.
See, to me, I feel like they have to have future knowledge for all of that episode. I feel like we can't ignore all that stuff Ramda said. Mm-hmm. But I also think it can't be all these theories. You know what I mean?
I mean, it could be it's definitely going to be elements of all of this stuff, man.
Well, I feel like if you do too many elements of too many different theories, it all becomes like hats on hats, you know?
Uh-huh.
But anyway.
I like hats.
I like hats, but more than one or two hats, and you start to look like a crazy person.
That's right. That's right. Like Rafi or whatever her name is.
Raffaella.
All right. Yeah. All right. Number 7, the rescued Romulans remain on the artifact to fight for the cause to eliminate the Borg. Maybe, but it seems like they're all there for different reasons so far. Like the Romulan dude whose name I can't remember, even kind of says like, yeah, everybody's here for different jobs, different motives, et cetera, et cetera.
Narek, are you talking about Narek?
Narek, yeah, I can't remember his name. I guess I should because it's so close to Sarek.
Oh yeah, that's true.
Number 8, Maddox is creating more sentient androids to find and destroy the Zhat Vash because they ultimately caused the attack on Mars, which ended his ability to continue his work. Well, I don't think he's creating anything now.
No, I don't think. Well, see, when they talked about his lab being destroyed, that worried me. But there's still there's a nest. There's a nest that they're still looking for. They apparently stopped. They knew where he was, and they knew how to stop him. But where is this nest?
Yeah, man, I don't know, man. I forgot about the nest.
No, man. Eric said you got to find the nest, and he even said they said last episode his sister says, you know, it is the plan to kill them, and he said yes, all of them.
Yeah.
So that's why they're not killing Soji yet, at least according to that's what he's telling his sister. I do think you're right. I think there's a bit of actual affection going on, but his stated reason, the reason he gives his sister is that he can't kill her yet because he needs to lead him to all the other ones.
Right.
Yeah, man.
This turned out to be a pretty good show so far.
Yeah, man. Really good. We're halfway through. This is episode 5.
Man, I don't want it to be.
Yeah, me neither. But man, I'm excited that we got this. This is a great direction for Star Trek. This is what we've been wanting for 30 years or whatever, man. Like whatever, not 30. Ever since Deep Space Nine went off the air, basically, I've been wanting a new series that went towards the future.
Yeah. Well, Enterprise kind of did. Like they had the whole temporal Cold War thing.
Sure, but that wasn't characters moving toward the future. That was just little glimpses of what the 29th century might look like or whatever.
Yeah, that's true.
And it all was malleable based on a temporal Cold War. Like, you know, we're now just getting characters moving in real time, making decisions. Of course, we may have some sort of temporal thing happening with the Romulans, but it's not clear.
Sure.
And our main characters aren't sort of in on it. It's all in the background and things that are happening to them. And our characters are having to make decisions and try to do what's best for them and do what's best for their different missions. And yeah, I love it. I love it, man. So excited.
I am really very excited to have a show where Starfleet isn't the primary like good guy. Like I just like the idea of just like, let's get away from the Federation standard of, we can do no wrong, and actually like see what a bureaucracy eventually comes to, like, that was one of the things, that's why one of my favorite things, and it is the movies, the TOS movies. And I even loved it in the original series where they would have like, Kirk and crew on the Raggedy Edge, and then some asshole Commodore comes in. He's like, well, Federation protocol says blah, blah, blah. And Kirk's like, well, that's not the right thing for this mission. And we got to go save these people. And there's like, well, but I've got to go make it to my conference or whatever. Or, just Starfleet being a bag of dicks and standing in the way of whatever.
The classic
whatever we needed to
bad admiral that is on every time there's an admiral.
Yeah, but the bureaucratic mentality, as Bones puts it, I think is a formidable foe in the annals of Star Trek, and I'm happy to see it be so again.
Yeah, man, absolutely, and to see our characters really try to operate outside of that. And I love the Federation, and I want it to be good, but I think that any good organization is going to have periods where you have to fight for it to stay good. Mm-hmm. I think they're mirroring our current day situation,
Yeah.
I was listening to Steve Shives earlier. Really
always a good time.
Trek Actually guy. Love his YouTube channel.
Yes.
He was saying that someone had written in about Janeway and like annoyed that how she became an admiral so quickly or whatever. And he was like, my theory on that was always that she, they had to like move her up because she came back as like a hero captain, but they also couldn't leave her on a starship with her crazy ass. He didn't say that exactly, but like they couldn't leave her in charge of a starship. They had to like, it's just like happens in the real world. Sometimes people fail upwards.
Yeah.
And the person I think writing in said it was perfect because she fit the like really bad admiral template perfectly.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. Like, but she was a hero captain. She brought her crew home. Yeah. They would make her admiral. Absolutely. They would make her admiral.
Yeah. All right. Well, it seems like about where we stop for the day, right?
Probably, yeah.
All right, cool.
God, I hope so.
Well, guys, thank you so much for checking out the podcast today. By the way, if you want to send in feedback, we keep having people write in because I sillily did. That's a hard word to say.
Foolishly.
Thank you. I foolishly did not put in. I just wanted you to keep saying words that you meant to say, like a real asshole.
Assholishly.
Real dumb. You're dumb, Matt. Okay. But people have written us on random places that were for our other podcasts and things because I didn't include a place for you guys to write in. So,
oh no,
we're at Star Trek UCast on most of the social medias, but we're also the easiest place to write us in and for us not to miss it is StarTrekUcast@gmail.com. StarTrekUcast@gmail.com. Just write us in any feedback you got there. If it's speculation or whatever, we'll do our best to read what we can. We do these podcasts, at least for Picard, at like 3 a.m. On the day they come out. So we're a little. I'm not sure how many we can get to, but please write in. We'd love to hear your theories and
we'll get to it after
whatever we can. Yeah, even if we have to do a little extra sode. So StarTrekUcast@gmail.com. Do that.
Absolutely.
That's all for us. Peace.
Live long and prosper, and Jolan True.
Oh fuck. Jolan True.
Thank you for listening to the Star Trek Universe Podcast, a Stranded Panda production. Send your feedback to StarTrekUcast@gmail.com or find us on all the social medias. Just search for the Star Trek Universe Podcast. If you'd like to hear more from David C. Robertson, check out the DC On Screen podcast or maladjusted.tv for his web videos. If you'd like to hear more from Matthew Carroll, check out the Marvel Cinematic Universe podcast or listen to his music. Just search for Matthew Carroll anywhere you get music.